So for the first hot topic of the day, who would you guys rather have, Metcalf or McLaurin?
I'm gonna start off here. I don't think this is too controversial of an opinion because I this could be popular. I don't know. Um, I would much rather have DK because while right now I feel like McLaurin is much more athletic, people compare DK to Hercules. Like that's a huge thing. First of all, right? Like just last game, against who did he play? The Eagles. He had 10 receptions for 177 receiving yards, 17.7 yards per reception, and the Seahawks got the dub. So he was the player of the game. He had the biggest impact. And honestly, if besides Russ, he's probably their best player on offense, right? And quite frankly, I just see DK having a much higher cap, like potential wise, than Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, Arnav, I have to agree with you. It's very close. I will take Metcalf. I mean, he's a game changer. He can change a game in an instant, as we've seen so far in this 2020 NFL season. I mean, he doesn't really have the natural catching talent that McLaurin does, but he is like a physical specimen. I mean, 6'4", 277, 227 pounds, 1.6% body fat. His combine stats are really good too. They pop off the board. 433 40, 27 reps of 225 pounds, 40.5 vertical. I mean, like Arnav said, he's Hercules, you know? And not to mention that early in the season, he's dominated cornerbacks among the likes of Stephon Gilmore, Xavier Howard, Tre'Davious White, and Darius Slay. I mean, not many other wide receivers can have that on their resume. Plus, he rules the NFL in stats. I mean, he leads the NFL in receiving yards and he's fifth in touchdowns. Plus, I feel like he also has more potential because of his better surroundings. I mean, Ron Rivera is a good coach for the Redskins, but that doesn't beat Brian Schottenheimer, the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, and Pete Carroll, who we all know well. So, I mean, that makes sense because Arnav already said that DK Metcalf has a higher ceiling, more potential. So, yes, I will take Metcalf. It's really close though.
Yeah, Arv, what are your takes on this?
So I totally agree with you on the fact that DK is in the better surrounding. He's in a better system than Terry McLaurin. But that brings me to my next point, which is Terry. Like you need to be in the right system for you to do well. And Terry has shown that even though he's not in the right system, even though he's on a pathetic team, the Washington football team, he's been putting up monster numbers. And look at the circumstances he's in. I'm pretty sure he had 4 quarterbacks over his entire career, and DK Metcalf has had one, which is Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson is arguably the number one quarterback. So you need to account all the factors. And Terry McLaurin also, as I think you touched on this earlier, he's a much better catch passer. DK drops a lot of balls. I can recall one from yesterday, the Eagles Seahawks game, where DK Metcalf dropped an easy touchdown. Like top receivers don't do that in the league. Top receivers don't drop balls like that. That's just not characteristic of a top receiver. And DK also he has a much better quarterback, like I said earlier. And although he might be a bigger body and he might be a physical specimen, you don't need to always be a physical specimen. You need to be simple. You need to do well in the simple things like catching, route running, all that. I don't care if you're a physical specimen. You need to do your job as a receiver, and that's catching passes. And also, oh yeah, I mentioned route running. DK is. I saw him run a few slants yesterday. He actually leads the league in slant routes. Not leads the league, but he's top 5. I'm pretty sure. But other than slant routes and um streaks, he doesn't have very he's not very diverse in his route running. And also, whenever I watch him, he's not very fluid in his releases. That's something Terry McLaurin is at the top of his league. I would say top 6 route runner in the league, Terry McLaurin. And DK Metcalf isn't very fluid out of releases. So I think Terry McLaurin, like, if you account all the factors that a wide receiver should have, Terry McLaurin by far is a better quarterback, a better wide receiver.
I'm not gonna lie, I do agree with you on like almost all your points. But when I think about it, I see like Terry McLaurin as the better receiver for maybe like this year and next year. But like you were saying, like it doesn't matter how well built you are physically. It matters if you do the simple things well. And I do agree Metcalf has been dropping some like potentially game-changing passes, but he's also clutched up in big moments, like again, like the Vikings game that but like yeah, back to the whole simple like stuff. Part of being as well built like, as he is, that gives you a higher cap and higher potential when it comes to the simple things also. Like I do like if DK works hard, like as hard as he's working right now, I definitely see him and his route running going up like a lot more. You know? So that makes
Can't you say the
he's
same for
really
Terry
improving his
McLaurin?
game.
Yeah, exactly. I
Can
can't
you
do
see
the
the
same.
same?
I can, but the only difference is Terry McLaurin is nowhere near as well built as him. So he
You
doesn't.
don't need, but wide receivers don't need to be built like a LeBron James, bro.
I know
Wide receivers are
that
not
is
meant to
true.
be like that.
That's true. That is true. Like I agree with you. But the thing is, they will both improve. They're both in their second year. They both have extremely high caps. Very talented. Only difference is when you're as well built, when you have the great diet, the great mindset, and like all that stuff, all those factors, they just give you a higher cap. Like for all we
He has
know,
Russell Wilson for a quarterback too.
yeah,
So
that's
No, but
true.
the thing is, things in an organization can snap really. I mean, change really quickly, like in an instant, in like a year.
Oh yeah,
In a
yeah.
year from now, the Washington football team
Yeah.
could actually be playoff contenders.
Nothing,
No one knows. Like,
nothing is
their
guaranteed.
QB situation could
turnarounds
go
are
from
not
trash to like top in the league.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Nothing is guaranteed. But like if we're just basing it off like in just my opinion, I feel like DK could be better if the Seahawks stay the same and the Redskins or the Redskins, the football team stay the same, you know?
yeah, I know. Yeah, I agree, but that's just not how the NFL works these days.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
obviously.
it never worked like that.
But you can't predict the Redskins
Yeah,
becoming
you can't
good
really
and the
predict, but
Seahawks
like
falling
as of
off the
Yeah.
board.
now, like I would take Terry McLaurin by far.
And
Yeah,
He's
you
the
can't
most
predict.
thing is, I feel like let's say DK was drafted in 2015. Let's say DK. I think Tyler Lockett was drafted in 2015. Not sure. Let's say DK
That's
was in his draft class. Then let's say that both Terry and DK were drafted back then. Then I will completely agree that Terry has a much higher cap and like much higher potential because back then the Seahawks play calling was extremely vanilla. It was mostly run, 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 and then pass on like end of games, you know. But this whole like this new like I can't talk. Let Russ cook campaign. It gets messy, but when it's done just right, it's perfect for all the receivers, including Russ himself.
Yeah, well, they did go
Well for D
to.
like last game.
Yep.
Also, DK does have Tyler Lockett, like you mentioned.
Yeah,
Tyler Lockett as a wide receiver, like DK Metcalf has Tyler Lockett,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That takes away like double
Double coverage.
double coverages from DK Metcalf, whereas
That's
Terry
true.
McLaurin is always not always, but like most routes he's double covered.
Yeah, he's their main guy, right? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
he's the only guy like defenses have to worry about when facing the Washington football team. So
Yeah, that's fair. That's true. That's true.